Free to speak.
Just a moment. Okay, we're live.
Thank you. Welcome to the Oakland Mayor and Council meeting, Wednesday, May 26th, 2021. Roll call.
Mayor Schwager.
Here.
Councilman Bialy.
Here.
Councilman Kumala.
Here.
Councilman Pignatelli.
Here.
Councilman Slasinski.
Here.
Councilman Talamini.
Here.
Councilman Van Eck.
Here.
So for the record, we did not have an executive session tonight. We're meeting now for our general meeting. I ask everybody for a moment of silence before we begin the meeting. And in your prayers, keep thinking about those in the Middle East, all the fighting, and those family and friends who have family and friends in India who are dying. So keep those in your prayers. Thank you. This meeting is being held in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Law duly announced, submitted to the newspaper, and advertised more than 48 hours in advance of the meeting, and notice posted in the municipal building and on the borough website, and following the protocols and the regulations set forth by the state for a virtual meeting. And my mayor's report tonight. I just want to remind everybody that Monday, May 31st is Memorial Day. Please think about it. Our annual Memorial Day service, sponsored by the American Legion, will be held in Veterans Park Sunday, May 30th, 1:00 p.m. This year, the parade was canceled because we did not know what was going to happen, and it was too late by the time we heard about the protocols. Then on Monday, June 14th is Flag Day. And that's the annual Flag Day ceremony sponsored by the Oakland Elks Lodge 2167 will be held at the Elks, 33 Round Pole Valley Road on Monday, June 14th at 6:00 p.m. And that is the ceremony is, we celebrate the adoption of the American flag. Today, I had a telephone interview with a reporter from New Jersey Monthly Magazine. I don't know if you ever read the monthly magazine. She was telling me that they were looking at all the statistics of all the municipalities throughout the state of New Jersey, and they're doing a series on those towns that have excellent sales, people buying in those towns, they're attracting people. And she picked Oakland as one of the towns to highlight. And the big question is, what makes Oakland appealing to home buyers? Hopefully my quotes are correctly quoted rather than taken out of context like they usually do. But I did get good ideas from the realtors in town, and we are booming. We are selling a lot of houses. And I don't know if you all heard or read from Richard and our CFO, and people have been contacting me, those who received the second quarter water bills. Unfortunately, there was a printout error. So water bills went out with a third quarter dates on them rather than 6. It turned upside down into a 9 for September. And the amount due in the was instead of saying amount due, it was put into the arrears column. The amount due is correct. It's just that it was put into the incorrect column, and the date on the bill was incorrect, but the usage volumes are correct. And what happened is that the bill was somehow kicked forward to show a third quarter bill. Regardless of all that, new corrected bills are being sent out. So if you received a second quarter bill, you saw a 922 instead of a 622, thinking that the 9 and the 6 are upside down. It was a printing error, and the amount is the correct amount, but it's in the wrong column. The usage amount is correct, but you are going to get a new bill. That is all I'm going to say for my mayor's message, because in lieu of my message tonight, is he on? our engineer, Kevin Boswell, has agreed to join us tonight. He is our borough engineer, Boswell Engineering, and he is going to give a factual report on the dog park. There have been a lot of rumors and a lot of innuendos and incorrect statements given out to the public by people. And so Kevin Boswell, who is the engineer and oversaw this project, would like to say a few words.
Mayor, before you go to Kevin, if I may, is that all right,
Sure.
Mayor? I want to apologize to everyone. My air conditioner broke. I know I'm the only man here tonight without a shirt and tie. I apologize, but it's extremely hot here. So thank you for your indulgence.
I was going to say that, but I didn't know if I should say it or not. So thank you for saying it. But he is going to remain. If it really gets unbearable, just stand up and take a walk outside, maybe cooler.
Thank you.
And I guess everybody else has air conditioning, so you're okay. So now, Kevin, you're on.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. It's great to see you all again. I'd just like to report on the Oakland Dog Park, which became a subject of concern shortly after it was opened on May 8th. Just to rehash some of the background here, the borough took title to this property about 11 years ago, and it was at that time that Ryan Schwartz-Fager and his mom looked at putting in a dog park over here. And at the time, frankly, the necessary studies, the necessary addressing of certain areas of environmental concern had not been performed. And the borough embarked on what I guess you could call a master plan of identifying what's out there from an environmental regulatory perspective, from a site remediation perspective, from a practical perspective. This is a highly disturbed site. It was the pleasure land day camp or summer camp. It was also Murray's Park pool. So there were two day parks that were side by side, each of them having very large concrete pools, picnic areas, cleared areas, paved parking lots, concrete slabs, buildings, concession buildings, restrooms. It's when you go back and look at the historical photographs dating back into the 70s and before, you can appreciate that this site really was when the borough took title to it. There are numerous areas of large concrete structures still remaining, asphalt and what have you. We started to get involved, and we filled in the pool in the Pleasureland area after breaking up the bottom of it, probably about 7 years ago. We prepared a trails map and the beginning of a master plan back in 2015. The mayor and council asked us to do a preliminary assessment, which is really a licensed site remediation professional gets involved and looks at the historical uses, looks at the available databases, and tries to identify if there are areas of concern, AOCs, and there were. There was a site investigation performed, and there was actually a remedial action work plan that was performed, all under the direction of, again, a licensed site remediation professional. There are wetlands on the site. The borough authorized us to mark out those wetlands. An application was submitted to the DEP. The DEP performed a site inspection, and a letter of interpretation identifying the limits of those wetlands and the associated buffers, the transition area, was issued in 2019, February of 2019. In order to prepare that, we actually updated the topography, and the whole site was flown by aerial photography in May of 2017. 4/18/2017. I'm saying all of this stuff because the borough has invested a lot of resources into setting the foundation of developing this site the correct way. As you know, the dog park has been on their radar for a long time. They also, last year, as part of the road program, constructed parking lots on top of prior existing parking lots. And we actually, with the construction of the dog park and as part of the installation of those new parking lots, we removed many dumpsters full of asphalt that previously existed from both the Pleasureland site as well as the Murray Park site. On May 8th, the dog park finally opened. It was a very nice project that was done with donated funds, and we received notice of a complaint that was filed with DEP enforcement on May 18th. We work with DEP daily. There's DEP permitting, land use permitting. There's DEP land use enforcement. We work with them every single day of the week and have done so for decades. We recently secured the permit for Patriots Way Bridge on May 7th. There's not a day that goes by where we're not in contact with DEP. We, in fact, are the entities that routinely report violations to DEP, along with your other representatives, agents of the borough, be it the construction code official, your zoning official, your property maintenance officer, you name it. We work with those people. We are part of the group that enforces the regulations for DEP. When we found out about the reporting, we immediately contacted DEP. We did what's called self-report, which is really a box that you check that says that you're taking the initiative, the proactive action, and anticipating what the next step may be. I authorized a survey crew to be dispatched because we looked at the plan last year and we recommended that it go into a location that frankly was where an old concession building and a bathroom used to be, a very high location, but we weren't sure that it was built at that location. So we had looked at that location when last year before the project started to get built, but without surveying it, we couldn't be sure it was in that location. So we went out, we surveyed it, and then we went and looked at the site again to make sure we didn't miss anything. And we noted that there was a small open area that was immediately to the southeast of the dog park. And just to take the most conservative approach, we said, let's assume that's an open channel of the stream. Let's then apply the riparian buffer that would be associated with that. And with that, we identified that the entirety of the dog park was completely out of that regulated area. However, the limit of the clearing had extended into that area. And in fact, it had actually exposed a concrete slab in that area. So we were on the phone with enforcement on Monday once, and they got back to us and said, look, he gave us an environmental constraints plan that shows wetlands, riparian buffers. Could you please show the flood hazard areas? And they forwarded what we refer to as the FEMA GIS layer. The Geographic Information System, GIS, is what is in the state's database, and they refer to that for a general direction of where the flood hazard areas may be. The true depiction of a flood hazard elevation lies when there is an actual stream study, and that stream study determines what those flood hazard elevations are. In fact, this Little Pond Brook that runs through the site. There is such a stream study. It was performed in 2019. It's dated August 28th of 2019. And we took that stream study, we overlaid it on top of the aerial photography that was commissioned by the borough in 2017. And we confirmed what we believed from the very beginning, and that was that the dog park, the entirety of the dog park, is outside of any regulated area. But we also went back and we looked at some photographs of this small area that was opened. And that small area, if you go to historic photos of the site dating back to 1979, this is the diversion structure for what used to send the water into either Murray's Park Pool or to the right to a bypass box culvert that runs down the northerly side of Murray's Park Pool. It runs all the way down, and that's why the riparian buffer disappears. That's why the stream disappears, is that this diversion structure was actually, it either sent the water into the pool or around the pool, and it is, in our opinion, a structure that does not qualify to meet the criteria to get riparian buffers. So today, we were on the phone with Michelle Agnoli. I was on with her twice, once at about 8:30 this morning and once at about 2:15 this afternoon. We prepared an updated environmental constraints plan. We added the flood hazard area that was plotted from the stream study from 2019 as overlaid on the updated topographic survey that was commissioned by the borough in 2017. We removed the riparian buffer with this diversion structure and provided pictures to enforcement and our reason why we removed that. And based on our interpretation of the environmental regulations, not just the dog park is outside the area, but the small 1,934 square foot area within this riparian buffer that we showed for all of 2 days has been removed as well. I would note that the entirety of Muller's Park Pool is in this same area. It's really the pool that we're talking about, which is either used or thought to be used for a skate park. But we're talking about a concrete pool, and the disturbed area that exposed the concrete was in fact the top of the box culvert, that is the bypass culvert that runs around the northerly side of the old pool. So I spoke to Michelle today, this afternoon. I explained it all to her. She was on the site on Monday with one of her, another person we're very familiar with. They took pictures. They took the same pictures we took, and she's going to discuss it with land use permitting and get back to us. But I would say, I can say emphatically that the dog park, as originally reviewed by our office last year, is outside of any regulated area, and it's been built in that location. The only question that remains is that whether this clearing of the brush on top of the culvert constitutes any type of a violation if they interpret this outlet structure, this diversion structure, to be different than we do. We don't believe that they will. We believe that they'll be entirely consistent. We routinely work with these type of diversion structures, and they're more common than you would think, because what happens is that many times there's a diversion structure that can't take the entire 100-year storm. So they put in this diversion structure to take a 5, 10, 20 years, 25-year storm with the understanding that during the 100-year storm, it will overflow. It's a very common thing. I could probably cite a half a dozen examples off the top of my head. I would note that I've seen some of the posts that have been on social media. They're really not productive. I can tell you that this is a borough project. It was done the right way. It was done consulting our office. There was no intent or objective to certainly circumvent any of the regulatory requirements. They've been respected as they always are. Our office does not take shortcuts. We respect and we enforce the regulatory requirements. And, it's really, we protect the interests of the borough and their taxpayers. And I don't know what else I can say when some of the things that I read just really don't make sense, because they don't understand, first of all, how the regulations are applied, and when you apply them, how the enforcement agencies will receive them and review them. At best, I see this as an instance where the DEP could come back and say, restore the scrub on top of the box culvert. At worst, it would be a 2-to-1 type of thing. And I would not see anything further than that, but I doubt there would be anything. I think that they will concur with our interpretation. I believe that it's frankly, a very straightforward matter. And again, I applaud the borough for its investment in going about developing this park the right way, because this is a perfect example of, by doing all of the legwork that you've been doing for the past 10 years, you have all this information to be able to address a concern. If it's a legitimate concern, we can speak to enforcement and we can certainly come back. So there were some changes with the environmental constraints plan. The Ramapo River became a Class 1 waterway. So there are additional environmentally constrained areas down along the river. But Little Pond Brook was already a C1 waterway, and that was already reflected. So I really don't, I'm happy to answer any questions, but I guess the short version is that I wish we just could have been told about the concern, and we could have addressed it in a more professional manner than having to go through this process, but we did. And we believe that you will shortly receive confirmation back from DEP enforcement.
Kevin, just for I'm going to ask any of the council who want to ask you a question, but for the sake of the residents, when you say the worst case is 2-to-1, and I don't think the residents understood what that means. I mean, you explained it to me.
Yeah, sure, Mayor. What that means is we believe that there is no riparian, but there's a small area. The dog park is completely outside any regulated area. The fence for the dog park is outside. It's not in a riparian buffer. It's not in a flood hazard area. It's not in a wetland. It's not in a wetland buffer. So we refer to those areas as regulated areas. So once you're out of regulated areas, you do not have to go to DEP. I neglected to mention something else. Unless, let's see, am I still on? Hello?
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
You're not going away so fast.
Okay, I just lost something here. Hold on one second.
We could see you and we could hear you.
Okay. So the way it works is there was another thing we needed to get. It says Bergen County Soil Conservation District certification. We disturbed more than 5,000 square feet. So we submitted the plan to Bergen County Soils. They gave us a certification. In the event that the disturbed area was more than 1 acre, it's considered a major project. And when that happens, then we have to get approval for stormwater management from DEP. This project disturbed 0.724 acres. So we also confirmed that with DEP as well. So to get back to your other question, 2-to-1, what happens is that the clearing of 1,900 square feet of brush into a area that is really the top of a box culvert. It's concrete. These are concrete structures from prior disturbance of the site. So it's theoretically possible that the DEP could come back and say, put back vegetation on top of that concrete structure. And typically when they do that, they say if you disturbed 1,934 square feet, we want you to put back 3,868 square feet, 2 to 1. We do not believe that this area is even also a regulated area. It's a highly disturbed area. We don't believe it qualifies for a riparian buffer. So again, and I would also like to state that if you go out to the site, you'll see bushes and plantings and the very same things that DEP would be asking you to plant. The borough has actually done as part of the aesthetics of the improvement. So the borough did this the right way. There's one area that is in question and only one area. So I'm happy to report that I doubt that there'll be any enforcement action on this. But again, if they come back and say, you know, plant some more areas, we plant some more areas. I highly doubt there'll be any further enforcement action. And again, these are people we deal with every day. I call these people easily weekly, if not daily.
Well, thank you for giving the report. Is there any councilman who wishes to ask Kevin a question? Because we all received daggers, phone calls, posts on social media, and I thought it was important for Kevin to come and give us a factual summary.
I just want to commend Kevin on doing an all-inclusive overview of the entire project area for the last 10 years. So he has shown that we've done the right thing all along the way, and we haven't violated any of the rules and regs as far as we can see. So I just want to put that rumor and all those stories to rest, that they came out of nowhere and should go nowhere.
You did the hard thing for the past 10 plus years. And, you know, that's why we can answer these the way we can answer them. So we're happy that you've done it this way, and you've made it very easy for us to give a professional response back to DEP.
Mayor,
Anybody have a
Mayor,
question? Yeah.
I just want to make a statement. I just want to say, I'm really disappointed in the fact that here we have this dog park, which has been worked on for the last 12 years. And now after the dog park has been grand opening, somebody goes and files a DEP complaint instead of coming to a council meeting, talking to any of us directly to investigate this. And Mr. Boswell, how many man hours would you say that your company has utilized to do this follow-up because of the nonsense that took place going to DEP?
Well, it's been a week, right?
Mr. Kamala, what we did was we looked at it, and this is a good project. And I'm not trying to we donated all the work to get to the survey work, the plotting of the flood hazard areas, the work that I did with Michelle, because you know what, everybody else donated stuff too, and it's a really good thing. And frankly, I compliment Ryan Schwartfigger and his mom for the idea. I compliment the mayor and council for the initiative to do this and getting out of somebody's way to let them do it. We're proud to be a part of it. This is a very good thing in town. So yeah, there's been quite a bit of time that we put in, and unfortunately, it was kind of like playing catch up. And you're right, Mr. Kamala. If somebody came to us and just asked us, we could have answered it.
Thank you, Ms. Roswell. Thank you so much for your comment and your explanation. I have nothing further, Mayor.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Is the report, the who made the report anonymous, or is that something that's public record?
I don't know who made. I don't know. I could not find out. Could you find out?
Michelle Agnoli told us that she received several complaints. I didn't press. I just wanted to keep it.
Is it public record who those complaints are from?
I don't know. I don't know.
I'd like to find out.
No, it should be, there should be no such thing as anonymous complaints.
We could file an Oprah request.
I think we could file an Oprah request. We could request that. We've encountered this before with other communities. We would like to know who made that, whether there was a good faith basis. Obviously, the municipality has spent a significant amount of money to respond to something that maybe did not have to be responded to in this fashion. So I think we should first make the request. We'll make the Oprah request. We'll determine what the basis of that, what the complaint was, and then also what DEP's reaction to that was, to determine if there was any valid action taken.
Thank you. I would love to see that. Thank you.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody disagrees with that, but
No, I don't think
DEP would follow up with an investigation if a name wasn't given. They don't follow up on anonymous phone calls.
Yeah.
So tomorrow we'll deal with
Appreciate
this. Mr. Kunz, we'll talk about this tomorrow.
Just I just like to reiterate that please, if there is a problem, please come to the mayor and council. Please come to the borough hall and ask. And if you don't get the response that you want, then turn us in. You know, bring us to the, you know, if we're doing something wrong, we need to be set right. But to do that and, you know, to cause all this paperwork for something, you know, we would be happy to go through this. I mean, I'm sure Mr. Boswell would, you know, like he said, it's a great thing. I mean, I said it at the last meeting. I'm so proud of what Ryan did. You know, he stuck to it and put together this dog park. And to have this happen is kind of sad. But I just want to say, I mean, Kevin, so basically what's happening is you're saying we did our homework. We did what we were supposed to do. We hired professionals. They did what they said they were going to do. And we got what we told we were going to get, and everything is the way it should be.
Yes, with the one caveat of you might have cleared a small, tiny area that isn't part of the dog park when you did it, and that's it. But everything else is a big non-event.
It's not the most.
And I would like to say, what Tom Potash did was a tremendous donation to the borough. And, you know, you have some great people in Oakland who do really good things. And I'm not trying to, he's done it for a long time. I looked at the videos and the pictures. He did some really good things for the borough. And you're fortunate to have people like that in your town, you know, and I don't know why we have a negative comments about such a positive thing. It's a great project.
One more question, Mayor.
Yeah.
Mr. Boswell, is it safe to say this matter is closed out at this point?
I'm expecting that I would hear that within the next week.
Very good. Thank you.
Right, you got the holiday weekend, so I think Trenton doesn't work as quickly.
But it's not closed on our end. We still want to have that Oprah request.
Oh, we're going to pursue what you said, Councilman. Tomorrow we're going to follow the procedure of finding out who made the complaints. And in the meantime, Mr. Boswell will keep us posted on what's going on between the talks between him and DEP.
Okay, Mayor, can I make one more other comment also?
Sure.
It said on Facebook, there was also another comment said that the entire council was not aware of what was going on. And I want to be perfectly clear. The entire council did know what was going on the entire time. And Mr. Boswell's group is sending all the emails to everybody collectively. So this isn't like there's nothing shady going on here at all. So just to dispel that rumor also. That's all, Mayor. Thank you.
I think it has to be interpreted. We did not know what was going on. was aware of going on.
I'm talking about the sharing of information
Right.
from Boswell to the entire council.
Okay, yes. I just want to make that clear that, you know,
Yep.
it could be interpreted incorrectly.
Correct. Thank you, Mayor.
I think that's it. Thank you. And you're welcome to stay, Mr. Boswell. But we still have John Yakimic here.
Thank
He'll
you.
get his turn later.
I do have one other thing I have to get to, but I really, really appreciate this. And again, congratulations on a great project, and thank you for letting us be a part of it.
Thank
I
you.
was told
Thank you,
today,
Kevin.
Thanks,
I was
Kevin.
told today by Richard that there are now 80 registrants. Is that correct, Richard?
That was the latest number I heard as of a couple days ago. Yep,
For the dog.
Okay.
correct.
All right. With that, I'll entertain a
Thank you.
motion to open to the public.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
If you wish to provide public comment at tonight's council meeting, please click the raise your hand icon or *9 on a mobile phone.
Now, just to clear a clarification, Brian, you're on mute, Brian.
Yes.
We had a meeting, but we didn't change the bylaws yet. It's a
I
resolution.
think that the resolution is on. If you want to hear about any topic, someone should make a motion to suspend the operation of the bylaws with respect to preclude comment on non-agenda items.
That's
So moved.
Article 4, 1F.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Michael, anybody?
Mayor Audrey Saunders.
Hi, Audrey. You have to give your name and your
Hi.
address.
Hi, good evening. Audrey Souders, 46 Winona Avenue. I wanted to discuss Governor Murphy's Executive Order 241, which eliminates outdoor masks. However, he says outdoor public spaces do not include schools or youth summer camps. So I am asking the council, since you host summer rec camp, to write a letter to the governor saying you disapprove of this mandate and advocate for our children. We can't allow them to run around this summer with masks on outside. The principals, the superintendents, I've emailed and spoken to them all. No one wants to stand up to the governor and say that this is wrong. It's not based in science, any of these decisions. Masking a 6-year-old outside is not a scientific decision. They're looking for loopholes at the schools. They called it a mask break, so there's no mask in gym class, but they refused to write a letter. But there's a lot of towns that have written letters to the governor saying they disagree. And I feel it's our responsibility as a town who hosts rec camp to advocate for our children. We can't allow them to be at summer camp this summer with masks on. And the only other thing of interest, at the Bergen County Commissioners meeting, there was a bunch of parents there saying the same thing, unmask our children. And Chairman Tinali said that we did not need to follow the guidelines set forth by the Department of Health. They were merely strong suggestions for all of us to follow. Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes.
or would you like to respond? I just try to-
Wait again.
Okay.
Anybody else, Michael?
Raise your hand icon for public comment.
The heck is that?
Mayor, I see no one further.
Motion to close.
Motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, now, Richard, our borough administrator wants to make a comment.
Yeah, so the state did update their youth camp guidelines, and those have been shared with the rec commission and the camp director to implement for this year. We were all kind of waiting to see what Executive Order 241 contained as it may relate to summer camps, and it was specifically excluded. The guidance itself for youth summer camps actually doesn't mandate mask wearing in a routine fashion outside during the camp. It gets a little dense, but essentially what happens is there's kind of a cohort model where the same group of campers are supposed to stay with the same counselor, kind of apart from the other groups. There isn't supposed to be a lot of intermingling. In cases where you do have different cohorts together for certain activities, In that particular case, the guidance says that the children should be masked, but that's really the only time outdoors where they would need to be. Even when they're under a tent, that counts as outdoors, as long as there's sufficient sides up. So it's not a broad-based mask mandate still for youth camps where the kids are going to have to run around with masks on in the hot sun. It's very limited situations where they'll have to wear the mask.
However, they're not going to have to wear a mask unless I'm reading it incorrectly, and maybe our attorney could tell us. At the carnival, there'll be families walking through the carnival without masks.
Mayor, what we're doing is we're looking into the most recent executive order, which has left some areas unanswered.
Very vague.
And we will have a client alert out tomorrow, but I'm not exactly sure how to define the carnival yet. It seems that this might be a close contact amusement. We're going to need social distancing.
Okay, that's all I asked. Is it legal? Repeated questions. No papers. No permits.
Can we?
So, Brian, could you be in touch with Councilman Van Eck, who's our rec liaison, and just coordinate something?
Yeah, we received the executive order. We were going over it earlier today. Rich and I had a discussion. Rich had some very specific questions, and I just want to look at some of my notes about this.
So by the time summer camp comes, there may be a whole change of plans.
Right.
So I mean, we're not supposed to do this during this portion. We're breaking our own rules here, but I was planning to bring something up under new business.
Okay, so we'll wait. All right.
Related to seeing if we would pass a resolution stating that we disagree with the vagueness and what Rich was explaining, the loose rules where you can hear but you shouldn't hear, that we're just going to say this is enough, and what Oakland thinks is that it should be a complete lift on this mask mandate of any kind.
All right, so you'll bring that up again during new business.
I mean, I just said it, but
you'll just repeat it.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we're moving on to approval of the minutes of April 28th.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilman Bialy.
Yes.
Councilman Kumala.
Yes.
Councilman Pignatelli.
Yes.
Councilman Slasinski.
Yes.
Councilman Talamini.
Yes.
Councilman Van Ack.
I missed that meeting, so I'm going to abstain. That was when I was absent, an excused absence.
We have a special meeting for May 5th. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilman Bialy.
Yes.
Councilman Kumala.
Yes.
Councilman Pignatelli.
Yes.
Councilman Slasinski.
Yes.
Councilman Talamini.
Yes.
Councilman Van Ack.
Yes.
We have minutes of executive session of May 5th. If there's going to be any discussion, it must be done during executive session. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Then we'll go ahead and vote.
Councilman Bialy.
Yes.
Councilman Kumala.
Yes.
Councilman Pignatelli.
Yes.
Councilman Slasinski.
Yes.
Councilman Talamini.
Yes.
Councilman Van Ack.
Yes.
Okay, well, we have resolutions. I'm asking to pull out 21-205, that's the bylaws, so we can do that separately. 21-187 is off because it's not complete. So that, I missed it. Wait, we're not at resolutions yet. I was dropping my papers. Okay, the first one is recognition of OCC Communicator Award, and I'm asking Councilman Van Eck to read it. It's a certificate of recognition.
Thank you, Mayor. It is an honor to be able to read this. The Borough of Oakland, Bergen County, New Jersey. Community has no greater riches than the dedicated service of its people. Oakland Communications Commission, the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Oakland wish to recognize the Oakland Communications Commission TV Committee for receiving the Communicator Award by the Academy of Interactive and Visual Arts for This Week in Oakland, Episode 5. The Mayor and Council thank you for your dedicated efforts to ensure the Oakland residents have high quality and informative programming. Congratulations to everyone involved in Episode 5 and this distinguished award.
And thank you, Councilman Benek, for all that you do with the Communications Commission.
Good job, everyone.
I was in that episode, so it's even more exciting.
Oh, that makes it even more special.
And we still won.
The next is we have an opening unfortunately on the Rec Commission. As you know, last year we lost our fireman and a police officer, Walker, and his wife was on the Rec Commission, and she has sent in her resignation. Her term expires 12/31/22. Daniel Walker, thank you for all your service you did on the Recreation Commission, and we will miss you. So I'm asking to put alternate 2, to move Jennifer Latira, who is an alternate, into the regular seat, which expires. And this is an appointment by the mayor, and Emily Smolinski, who comes highly qualified and highly recommended by the rec commissioners and the rec chairman. She is, just so you know, for full disclosure, she runs the summer camp. I have spoken to our borough attorney about this. She can be on the commission as long as she has nothing to do with the summer camp. She will not vote on anything with the summer camp. And so that is my recommendation, to appoint Emily Smolinski. Welcome. The commissioners are excited, and thank you. Okay, so now, resolutions. I am pulling out 21-205 because that's the bylaws, and I think that's important. Then we just pull that out and vote on that separately. Is there anybody else? Any others?
Yes. 194.
194 is the opposition to the construction of compression turbines on the Tennessee pipeline. Anything else?
Yes, Mayor. Reso 21-204.
204 is the award contract Connolly and Hickey Stream House development work.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
For me too. 834 and 196.
196 is the change order. And what else?
834.
Where's 834?
Honoring past elected officials.
Oh, that's the ordinance.
That's not on here.
Ordinance.
That's under ordinances.
Oh, sorry about that.
All right. Okay. And remember, pull out 187 because that was not ready. Okay. So then the others will do as a consent agenda. Starting with 21-190, authorized use of procurement cards by local units for specific circumstances to be used for certain payments. And the borough CFO shall hereby be authorized to engage TD Bank for procurement card services. 21-191 is establishing procurement card policies and procedures, and that goes by resolution 21-190. 21-192 is to authorize the hire of a water sewer account clerk. As you know, our account clerk man is retiring at the end of this month. No, next month. This is still May. So this resolution appoints Alexander Della Torre to be hired as the water sewer account clerk and an annual salary of $48,000 effective June 7, 2021. This way he can sit with Nancy and, we can have a smooth transition. 21-193 is the request for State of New Jersey supplemental budget appropriation for the superstructure replacement of Patriots Way Bridge in the amount of $4,716,830. 21-194 pulling out. So that's pull that one out. 21-195 is to authorize the accrued time payout for N. Marquezo. For Nick, he has accumulated sick days, vacation days, personal days, and compensatory time or other absent time authorized as an employer agreement. And the accumulated amount is $1,621.92. 196 is pulled out. 198 is to award bid Skyview Holbrook sanitary sewer lining. The borough received 5 bids. National Water Main Cleaning Company, 1806 New Turnpike, Kearney, had the lowest responsive and responsible bid for a total bid of $175,499, and the CFO has certified funds are available. 199. Chapter 159, the Audubon Society grant. The borough has been awarded a Bergen County Audubon Society grant in the amount of $1,500 for the purpose of creating a monarch pollinating station in Great Oak Park, and wishes to amend its 2021 budget to include this amount as a revenue. 2000. Drunk Driving Enforcement Fund, that's Chapter 159, has been awarded a grant of $6,501.61 for the purpose of supporting ongoing police enforcement activity, and wishes to amend its 2021 budget to include this amount as revenue. 21201, award contract reassessment services. Unfortunately, we were told by the county we have to have a full reassessment, and the borough issued a request for proposal for the services required, determined that the proposal submitted by Associated Appraisal Group and the amount not to exceed $250,000 was in the best interest of the borough. CFO has certified funds, and attached to the resolution is the resumes and information about the company. 21202 is to authorize refund of recreation fees. The Daniel family to Briscoe Ringwood, $430 for the multi-sport camp 2 kids at $215, $220 Braves baseball camp, $115 child, $105, $200 Brave baseball camp for a total of $850. The Moyle family, 37 Cottage Place in Riverdale, $125 for the Indian Hills High School rec football camp. 21203, authorized estimated tax bills. The statute allows for the governing body on the calendar fiscal year to use an estimated third quarter tax bill if it is determined that the tax collector will be unable to complete the mailing or delivery of tax bills by June 14th, provided that the estimated and reconciled tax bills mailed by June 30th and September 30th, respectively. And 21204 was pulled out. 21205 was pulled out. And then we have 21206, amend the 2021 budget. Public hearing was held as advertised. It's desired to amend the approved budget, current fund and anticipated revenues. It talks about the current fund appropriations. Is there a motion to adopt by consent agenda?
So moved.
Second. Roll call.
Councilman Bialy.
Yes.
Councilman Kumalo.
Yes.
Councilman Pignatelli.
Yes.
Councilman Slasinski.
Yes.
Councilman Talamini.
Yes.
Councilman Van Ack.
Yes.
Okay, now we'll go in chronological order. Go back to resolution 21194, opposition to construction of compression turbines on Tennessee Pipeline.
Thank you, Mayor. The reason I wanted to pull this out is in light of what happened with the Colonial Pipeline 3 weeks ago. I don't think we as a council should be in the business of prohibiting any critical infrastructure that's going to have an impact on people getting their natural gas service or anything else like that. And we saw how quickly prices went out of control. and lines started forming at gas stations. So I just want to be on the record that I am against this resolution at this time. That's what I wanted to pull out.
Any other comments?
I just want to point out that this gas pipeline is delivering gas not for anybody in New Jersey. And it's tripling and 7 times the compression engines used to compress that gas in pipelines that are 65 years old. So it's creating an unnatural state of being throughout the state of New Jersey for somebody else.
So you're against it too, John, right?
Well, I am for the opposition of the construction of the pipeline.
Okay.
That's
So
a
you're
positive.
in favor of the resolution
Yes, I am.
opposing the pipeline?
But this pipeline already exists. There's no construction of the pipeline.
No, it's construction of the 2 compression systems. It's a 2,000 horsepower compression station and a 1,700 horsepower compression station.
It says so in the second paragraph.
Yes,
right.
It's the
Right.
construction.
No, but John just said the construction of the pipeline, so I just wanted to clear that up.
I
No,
never
the
said
compression station.
I said the
construction
compression
of the stations. Right. Okay.
And just so to be clear, at the end of the day, this is controlled by FERC, the federal government, not the state, local, or anybody else. Correct, Mr. Ukemic?
Yeah, this is under the auspices at the federal level, but certainly municipalities can voice their opinion on it, and then it can be considered at the federal level. This I think constitutes interstate commerce.
Does this come? But does this come through Oakland at all?
No, but the compression stations are in
I don't know, Councilman.
Wantage and in West Milford.
That's the compression. That's the proposed.
We're doing it as a community against creating negative impact on the residents of New Jersey.
Have any of the other towns in the area passed the same resolution?
Yes.
As
an example, I don't have the list of communities that have done it, but a former councilman from Wyckoff shared it with me, and he's part of the a committee that put this thing together and is looking forward to having other communities jump on the bandwagon to oppose the pipeline.
Does anybody want to
Not the
table
pipeline.
this?
The pipeline is already there. It's the
All right,
compression.
does anybody want to table this and then come back with additional information for the next meeting? I guess not. So, so Councilman Kubala has a motion to oppose the resolution.
No, he doesn't.
No, it isn't. I stated that my
we just
position
voted.
on it. We're still voting on the resolution.
I thought you opposed the resolution.
No, I had it pulled out. I oppose the way. In other words, I'm making my statement. I'm voting against it because I don't think we have business doing this.
We need a motion and second on the resolution as presented.
So moved.
With opposition to construction of compression turbines on the Tennessee pipeline. So, is there a motion?
New Jersey. So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Councilman Bialy.
Yes.
Councilman Kumala.
No.
Councilman Pignatelli.
Yes.
Councilman Slasinski.
Yes.
Councilman Talamini.
No.
Councilman Van Ack.
No.
Need to call the mayor on this one.
Oh, it's 3-3?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So now we have resolution 21-194, which, no, we just did that.
196.
196, Mayor.
196, change order number 1, time extension digital sign. And I think Councilman Bennett pulled this one out.
Yes. So my understanding is that this is because the company Allied Sign is not responding to us, isn't making any progress. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Rich, you want to take that, or you want me to take that?
John, you've been talking with Allied regularly. Why don't you take it?
Yeah, Councilman Van Eck, there was We had a contractual completion date of April 23rd for the sign to be completely finished. There was a lot of hand-holding, a lot of correspondence, misunderstandings by the contractor leading up to that time. I had written several long correspondences to them, reminding them what their obligations were under the contract. And by the time they completely understood, the time of completion date had elapsed. They are now cooperating. The permits for construction are down in the Oakland construction office, and the sign has been ordered. And they have requested, their request was to extend the time of completion from April 23rd, 3 months, to July 23rd.
What happens if we don't? Okay, sorry, Mayor, go ahead.
Oh, why 3 months? If everything is all set to go?
Well, the sign has to be in place and operating on July 23rd.
So have we given Allied Sign any money? Have they done any actual work other than being spoon-fed like a baby by you and other people?
No money. They've been paid zero.
Have they done any work?
Only shop drawing preparation and the ordering of the sign. Which
you needed to spoon feed them and hand hold them. Or sorry, you said hand hold. I said spoon feed. You had to hold their hand through this whole thing.
Yes.
I have a 10-month-old, so I'm always thinking in those terms.
I only hold my wife's hand, but
that's
question. John, Mr. Kemick, are the penalties involved with this since they didn't make the deadline?
Well, there is a default clause in the contract. There are liquidating damages. There are various mechanisms, calling of the performance bond. When that happens, I don't think anybody wins. So, we always try to make the attempt to work with the contractor, hold the hand, spoon feed. And if we have to resort to those sorts of things, that's obviously a council decision.
Can we cut bait with this vendor if it's not working out? Since we haven't exchanged any money?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, could we just get a new vendor, bring this out back to big, and start over? I don't think this is a good vendor at all.
Time frame before you go to someone else.
Let Rich take
right.
this.
So whenever you have a project that kind of drags on, you kind of do this calculus of what's ultimately the best course for the project to have it successfully completed. And the only reason we're bringing this time extension request to you is because we think working with Allied, having them install the sign, we checked their references before. It is a reputable company. They provide a good product. We extensively reviewed various sign manufacturers' products. I think the specs that we used and the product that we're getting is going to be top notch and is going to fit the bill for what we want. And it'll serve us very well for a long period of time. Taking certain steps like declaring them in default, bringing in somebody else, it will actually, at this point, we think just serve to elongate the project with no more guarantee of success at the end. So that's why we brought this forward, because we think that this is still probably the most expeditious path to getting the project completed within the budget amount of money that we have. I would suggest if you want to keep getting into this discussion, or it's getting into some legal areas perhaps that would be better served for executive session, but that's Brian's call.
Yeah, I do not think we should extend 3 months, and I'm fully comfortable cutting ties with this company.
Well,
and if we don't, then we should definitely not extend either way,
okay.
and they can suffer any penalties they want.
Wait,
I would like to share with the council that I've been working on this project with Rich and with all the emergency management people for the last several years. And this is the company that comes with the best product at the very best price by far. So to work with them to get to this point has been a little bit of a climb up the hill, but it's going to be worth it in the end. We've seen everybody else's product, and we know the prices on the other products, and they don't come close to this company's product.
Can we show of the extension?
So if they're so
It's
good at
probably not gonna, as I spoke to John about this, it's probably not gonna be that long, but just to be sure, they brought that, date to July. But we think that probably is gonna be a lot quicker than that.
Well,
they're, they're so
depends.
good at what they do, what happened here?
Well, if I could just respond to that. Councilman Talmy, they're good at building signs. They're not good at following the rules or the specifications on procedures.
That's concerning, especially what we heard about at the beginning of the meeting.
But as far as putting out a technical product, I have to remind everybody, this went out to bid 3 times. The other people that bid the project were much higher. And at the last bidding, they were the lone bidder. So if we were to put this out again, they would probably just simply bid again, unless, I don't know, Brian said we can hold them from not bidding. But the end result would be, the way we're seeing it, to Mr. Coons's point, would not work advantageous to the interests of the borough.
I don't know why you can't apply pressure. You oversee that. That's what you're
No,
doing.
we have been applying pressure, Mayor, and what we've done today is as soon as it comes out of the construction office with an approval, we're going to have Allied come in and put the foundation up. So that's going to happen within a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, I'm totally against continuing here, and we could put it back about to bid. They could bid again. We could start fresh, and then they've learned their lesson. Or we don't extend. They can pay whatever penalty or whatever may be involved. But that's the direction I'd like to.
And if we don't extend it, isn't there a penalty, Brian?
There's a liquidated damage provision. We would need to show that we've suffered damages in some way.
Look at the amount of staff time and effort and energy that you've put. Yeah. There you go.
Brian, do you want?
We haven't lost it. Yeah.
Brian, is there a penalty?
I would say is that I won't discuss the penalties in open session. You have a request for a time extension. You've heard from everyone. I would just act on the motion. Understand that if you put it out to bid, you will delay the project and may not get a better price.
We're not going to get.
No one's missing the sign.
Can they sue us? I miss it.
No, if they need a time extension and you don't grant it, they have a certain period of time to complete the contract. If they don't complete the contract in a certain period of time, then they're in breach of contract.
There you go.
How much time is that usually?
I'm sorry?
So we vote tonight. Tonight is May 26th. Does the time?
Well, they're passed it already, right?
They are.
I believe they
the
have.
Start time tonight? Brian?
No,
when you said they have a certain amount of time, if we don't extend it, if we don't.
No, they only have a certain amount of time to complete. It's beyond. If you don't extend
it's beyond
the contract.
It's on. You don't start counting from tonight.
Correct. It's what the original contract term was. Their notice to proceed.
So then John Yakima would have to call them tomorrow and say, "Look, you didn't get an extension."
That's right.
Is that what happens?
And so if they don't get the extension, what happens?
Well, that's what I'm asking Brian.
If they don't get if they don't get the extension, they are now beyond the term for completion. They are in breach of contract. They're in breach of contract. We have the right to terminate the contract. Then the next issue is that, as I said, you have to evaluate it, is that you've awarded a contract for a sign. You're going to delay the project, and do you believe you're going to get a better price? You know, so I mean, you have that's really it. You know, extensions of time are not unusual on projects. You know, as part of the change order process.
And as time goes by, the price of this sign is going to go up and up and up. So we have them.
No one wants or needs this sign. So.
Oh no, that's not true. That's not true.
It's not true. There's a lot of seniors in town that are not savvy with computers, and they get information where they can, and this would be a great help to not only.
Yeah, because driving and reading a sign is safe.
Especially during.
All right,
of-
we're not going
of-
to get into arguments over this. The
No,
bottom line
especially
is,
during,
is
especially
there a
during
motion?
times of emergency. This is going to be an information center, giving information to the town when there's no power in town possibly.
Oh, so when there's a
We've been
hurricane,
through
get
that.
on Route
I've
202
been
and
through
stop
that
at the
many
sign to find
times.
out what's
All right,
happening.
Yeah.
start
20
yelling and
years.
screaming at each other. Let's move on. We have a resolution 21-196. Is there a motion to approve
So
it?
moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Bialy.
Yes.
Councilman Kumala.
No.
Councilman Pignatelli.
Yes.
Councilman Slasinski.
Yes.
Councilman Talamini.
No.
Councilman Van Ack.
No.
Yes, I break the tie. Ooh, more ties are broken tonight than I think in a year.
You've had more votes tonight than you had in like 2 years.
I said,
This is the first time, I've been here for more than 3 years. This is the first
Yes, I
time the
know.
mayor has voted.
I just
Getting-
want to say,
it's exciting.
I just want to say one thing.
21-204 is the next one.
Okay.
That was pulled out. That is to authorize the contract to Connolly and Hickey for the Stream House development work. They submitted a proposal on May 6th for the services, the amount not to exceed $8,250. And I think it was Councilman Pignatelli who pulled it out.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The reason I'm bringing this up now is because I don't want anyone to ever say, why didn't you tell us this sooner? The history of the Stream House goes back a long time. Whether you agree with this or not agree, I remember being at a meeting when the lady from the Historical Society said it would cost $1.4 million to reconstruct this house, this Stream House. Then it went to $1.3 million. I just cannot see the borough spending that kind of money or any a large amount of money to build a stream house that, for me, is not historically significant. History was my favorite subject, still my favorite subject about the founding of the United States of America. And that's why I support funding for the Van Allen House. For the Stream House, I think it's imperative that the Historical Society conduct a fundraiser. And Mayor, you remember when you did it for the library, you had the big thermometer standing up, and when you reach a certain point, I think we really need buy-in from the people of Oakland that they want us to spend that kind of money. I wouldn't mind a 50-50. If they could raise 50% of the funds and then the borough chip in 50%, at least then we know there's buy-in from the community.
Councilman,
Yes, Mayor.
I've asked the Historical Society has blatantly said they are not a fundraising group. They will not fundraise.
Well-
Number two, that's number one. I'm answering
That's
your statement. Number two, the only way we were allowed to dismantle the Stream House is that we have to replace it with another building. If we don't replace it, I don't know what happens, John.
We're in
Bialy.
default we'll be in default with the State Historic
HIPAA.
Preservation Office.
I think if we show that we had a good faith effort to do it with combination of either funding from the county, funding from someone starting a fund drive in Oakland,
Rich.
I just
But you need a
cannot see,
proposal. That's what this is. This is not to build. This is just simply the
I
proposal.
cannot see spending. All right, this is just suppose I understand it. But I want you to know that I want everyone to know that in the future, when we get down to spending money to reconstruct something that, I don't know,
That's been an
I heard
eyesore.
very,
How
very
many
few
years?
people in favor of having a stream house. I'm sure there's a half a dozen or so, but don't forget, we're in critical times. People are out of work. We're spending a lot of money for the bridge, for the sewers, for this kind of money for me, is not put to good use.
Pat, everybody said it was an eyesore. They hated it.
Yes.
I'm only
We
scared that
couldn't
Frank
take
Monaco is
Pat.
not here to see
Pat,
this.
the deal that was struck with SHPO, State Historic Preservation, was that we can take the house down as long as we replace it.
Did they give us a time limit?
No,
There you go.
Well, I think it's always reasonable time
Well, I'm
so
just,
that they keep that bait.
I'm
All
just
this
saying.
is, Pat, this
All
gives
this is-
us, what
yeah.
this is a plan.
I know,
And
man.
then once you have the plan, then you, Pat Pignatelli, can go speak to the Historical Society and tell them you have to fundraise. You can't just sit back and say, we're not a fundraising group, we don't fundraise.
And Pat, I don't think
I'm going to
those
be at
numbers
that
that you
meeting when you
projected
tell them
before,
that.
Pat,
Me.
I don't think the numbers that you projected before are withstanding right now.
I-
We're not going to rebuild a historic structure, which means that we don't have to use historic carpenters and the whole thing that we use on a Van Allen house. This is just going to be a very straightforward building. It's going to be a small building, so it's not going to be anywhere near 1.3, 1.4.
It's going to be a
whatever.
museum. We were the county seat during the Revolutionary War. They burned down the courthouse in Hackensack. It's going to be a place to be
Then let
proud
the-
of. When
let
the
the-
children, when the second graders come visit the Van Allen house, they could then go into the museum and see things about Bergen County. We were the county seat.
Well, then the county should be forking over a lot of money to help us do that.
But we have to give them a plan. We don't have any plans.
We have to get the
Okay,
plan for
time out, everybody. Please time out. I said in the beginning, the only reason I'm bringing this up now is that I don't want you to say a year from now, Pat, why didn't you speak up on June 26, 2021?
No, this is May. This is May.
Man.
All right. Well, May.
I know it's the heat.
It's the heat. Thank you. But seriously, I don't want anyone to say that you should have said something back then. I could be outvoted by everybody. I'm fine with that. But I want you to know ahead of time that
Appreciate that.
I oppose using large sums of money from the borough to reconstruct something that, I don't know, more than a dozen people would want to have in this town. And when you brought that up, Mayor, about the stream house, it actually distracted from the appearance of the Van Allen house. It
Right.
blocked,
Was an eyesore.
it blocked the view. It's a much better view now, and we should be very proud that George Washington, stayed at that house, and we have it as a landmark. But to dump hundreds of thousands, whatever the amount is, just want you to say, at least Pat said it in
So
2020.
you don't want to have
Well,
a plan.
The
We
plan
don't
is
want
eight.
plan.
What's on
That's the whole
on the
thing,
table
sir.
right now is $8,250. That's
Right,
what
for
we're
a plan.
Right.
This is the plan.
For a
And then we
reputable,
want to go to Bergen County Open Space and draw money
and
off
show
of
the
them.
plan and say, we want money.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
have to get the plan first.
Like,
I understand that. I'm in
Eric
favor
has-
of the plan. I'm in favor of the plan.
oh,
But
okay.
we need a plan in order to get a price, and
Then
then
after we get the plan, I'm going to be there when you sit with the Historic Society about fundraising.
Can I just,
Mayor, I volunteer for many things in town, as do many other people. And when you volunteer, a certain responsibility comes with volunteering. I volunteer at the First Aid Squad. I have to put in 12 hours a week. I'm fine with that.
I agree with
And
you.
when you volunteer to be on a board, a commission, or volunteer company, come certain responsibilities. You just can't say, I'm on the Historical Society and I'm not going to do anything.
I
I'm
told
sorry.
you, I'm going to be at that meeting when you
Sorry.
tell them.
I'm fine. They could.
Good.
Mayor,
Yes.
I've
Eric's
done it
hands
before.
up, his hand's going to get tired.
I've done it before.
just a
Eric?
question, is it pressing that we have to do this now, or can we table this until we get the rest of the Van Allen house done? I mean, is there a reason that, listen, we're looking at another $1.1 million in bonding for the bridge. And I mean, here's another $8,000 for a nicety right now. Can we maybe wait 6 months, wait till next year's budget before we do this? Is it,
I
are we
think
under
we're
the gun
gonna
for
do the
anything?
budget.
But that's fine. We can still move that toward the bridge or other funds. I mean, are we
You
under
don't
the
want to know
really-
the plans? You don't
Are-
want to know
no,
to
listen to
submit.
it.
Then we could start working with the county. Say, look, these are the plans.
That's the plan, Eric, to get the plan together and take it to the county and say, we want money to build it, to restore the stream house. And that's what the open space market is there in the county. That's what they give money to. And they're very open to historic restoration places.
No,
And we know they have millions of dollars. Millions.
I think
collection of tax
we'll have to spend the money anyway, whether we do it now or we do it later. I don't think it's terrible to spend the money now to get a plan, some kind of idea of where we're going. And when they come back, and if they come back with some kind of outrageous number, then we realize, okay, this is what we have to do. This is what, and we have to figure that out. But for us not to do this, I think it just leaves a big what if hanging there. So maybe we just do this, get some kind of plan, and we move forward. And
I agree. We should do the plan and move forward. Obviously, we wouldn't want construction to start next month because, as most people know, wood has skyrocketed.
No. We're going to wait until wood comes back down to earth.
And let's not hire Allied Sign. But anyway.
Okay, so a motion.
And Mayor, if I can, just one thing on this with the grants. We've spoken with Margaret Hickey, had conversations with the county. This project, according to them, would be eligible for funding through the Bergen County Historic Preservation Grant Program, which we've used successfully in the past for the Van Allen House, as you're aware, and that it's also eligible for funding through the State Historic Preservation Office, which we've also used successfully in the past. And matter of fact, we're using state money right now to help with the Van Allen House. That process in and of itself takes, probably a couple of years between the time that we have the plan. Everything kind of goes in accordance with their grant grant time frame. So by the time that you apply and then get it 9 months later, get our own local funding in place, try to match it with the state grant. You're several years away from this best case in terms of actually constructing anything regardless.
Just one other question for Mr. Bialy. If we go forward with this, obviously the building's right next to the highway. Can they come up with a couple different renderings, maybe moving it somewhere else on the property, and really highlighting the Van Allen House, or does it have to be right against the road like that?
The foundation that has
it's the foundation of the building, which is historic.
It's the water passing underneath it that the dairy used to cool the milk.
I understand that, but Pat, you just said it wasn't historic. I'm confused.
I say it, but that's not what the state says.
Okay, is there a motion to approve Resolution 21204, authorized contract to Connolly and Hickey for Stream House Development?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Bialy.
Yes.
Councilman Kumala.
Yes.
Councilman Pignatelli.
Yes.
Councilman Slasinski.
Yes.
Councilman Talamini.
Yes.
Councilman Van Ack.
Yes.
See, Mayor, you didn't have to break the tie in this one.
I know.
It's just an open discussion. That's all I wanted to say. That's all.
I'm glad you did. Thank you. Do you need some cold water?
Yes, I have it right here. Thank you.
Okay, good. Resolution 21205, amend bylaws of the governing body. The reason why I pulled this out, so everybody understands what happened. We adopted the bylaws April 28th, 2021. And then it was suggested that the administration committee met. Thank you, Councilman Slasinski. Do you want to talk about the amendments?
No, is this where I just say that I make a motion to amend the bylaws?
Yes, and it is Article 4, 1, Paragraph 1F, and it has to do with the, go to Article 4.
With the agenda items.
It's the first to open to the public comment. So, do you want to make a motion?
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say. Addressing Councilman Bialy's comments at our last meeting, I make a motion for the council to amend its bylaws to allow open comments, not just what is on the agenda at the beginning of meetings.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Councilman Bialy.
Yes.
Councilman Kumala.
Yes.
Councilman Pignatelli.
Yes.
Councilman Slasinski.
Yes.
Councilman Talamini.
Yes.
Councilman Van Ack.
Yes.
Now, introduction of ordinances. These are all introductions. So for each one, we do a motion, a second, a roll call, and then Lisa will tell us the date of the final hearing. First one, 21, capital 831 is the capital 2021 capital ordinance. Is there a motion to introduce?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Bialy,
Yes.
Councilman Kamala,
Yes.
Councilman Pignatelli,
Yes.
Councilman Slasinski,
Yes.
Councilman Talamini,
Yes.
Councilman Van Ack.
Yes.
Final hearing is
June 9th.
6/9/2021.
I don't know if this has been done in the past, but do we ever have like somebody from the DPW come and explain, the need for the pickup trucks, lawnmower, leaf vacuum replacement?
Well,
when it comes to
it's
these
very
things?
interesting that you would say that, because in the past, this is the first year we did not do this. In the past, during the budget hearings, it was in person. This year was on Zoom. We would have the department heads come and talk to us about their needs, and we had the big binder. They'd come and talk about their needs. But if you want somebody to come in and talk to us, can't we hold off on some of these ordinances? We could table them.
Well, you can
So,
always
for example,
use and just set a later public hearing date.
oh, okay, we could do that too. It doesn't have to all be the same night.
No,
Right.
is that what you would like
Brian,
to do?
unmute yourself, Brian, so you can answer us.
You're going
I
to
spend
have,
my life saying, unmute
you're,
yourself.
you're going to have to decide on the capital ordinance what it will and won't include. So you could introduce it, you can have a discussion, you could amend it, then you could adopt it.
So that we already voted for the capital ordinance for the final hearing is set for June 9th.
If you want to have the final hearing, the second meeting of June, you could amend what just occurred.
Do we have a certain time frame for the capital ordinance, Rich? Richard?
No, I mean, 2 weeks won't matter. That would be
All
fine.
right, so we have to re-vote on that, correct? Or we
If
just
you're
changed the
going-
final
if you're
hearing
going
date?
to change the date of the hearing, we should amend the date of the hearing with the introduction so Lisa can publish it correctly.
All right, so this is capital 831, the 2021 capital ordinance. So we have to re-vote on that?
Yes, I would revote it with the new hearing date.
Okay, so can someone make a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay. Now we're voting you already voted for the introduction, so now we're voting to introduce it at a later date. So, roll call.
Councilman Bialy,
Yes.
Councilman Kamala,
Yes.
Councilman Pignatelli,
Yes.
Councilman Slasinski,
Yes.
Councilman Talamini,
Yes.
Councilman Van Ack.
Yes. And we'll have the department heads attend and go into greater detail. And that's
you
the
would
reason
like.
we did this.
Yes, if you'd like.
I would like that.
All right, so, all right.
Sure.
Now that-
We just
and
heard
that
what Pat
is-
was saying. Everything Pat was saying, we're tight times. It's a tough year. We really got to know. And, these are big dollars here. So stuff
Yes,
needs to be
like
done.
I
We
said,
got to do it.
Yes, they used to
But is
come
this
all the
the year?
time.
Right,
So
and
I is-
just so I can clarify as well, this is a fully funded capital ordinance. There's no debt being incurred here. And all of this is coming out of the capital improvement fund, whose funding you already approved as part of the budget process.
It doesn't mean we have to spend the money.
I'm just making that clear though, that the money itself has already been appropriated in total in the capital improvement fund. Okay.
Now,
So-
as a side note, the final hearing 2 weeks after that is June
Should be the
23rd.
3rd. So just so you know, will they be able to come, or are they going, that's the night of the carnival. Are they going to be tied up at the carnival?
Should we move the meeting date?
No,
Well,
if we
I
have
thought we
if
wanted
we
to
have the
have the
department head at the next meeting to talk to you, that won't conflict with the carnival
I mean, on the 9th.
on the 9th, correct?
So you want to go back to the original and have the final hearing the 9th? Or
No,
just-
no. No, what I'm saying is introduce tonight. We'll have the department heads in at the next meeting. Can have the public hearing and final adoption on the 23rd. or amend, depending on what your discussions are at the next meeting.
Okay, is that okay with everybody?
Fine.
So now we are voting on the final hearing of June 23rd, 2021. Roll call.
Councilman Bialy,
Yes.
Councilman Kumala,
Yes.
Councilman Pignatelli,
Yes.
Councilman Slisinski,
Yes.
Councilman Talamini,
Yes.
Councilman Van Ack.
Yes.
So each councilman who's in charge of one of these departments, for example, Councilman Van Eck spoke about DPW, make sure that the person in charge of that department is notified to come here on that night, coordinate with Richard.
Well, Rich should do that, right?
Mayor,
Coordinate with
I'll be notifying everybody tomorrow.
Okay. So now, 8/33/2021 is the water capital ordinance. And that is for appropriating the sum of $1,600,000 for the water utility capital improvement fund, raised from the water utility capital improvement fund. Is there a motion to introduce?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Bialy,
Yes.
Councilman Kumala,
Yes.
Councilman Pignatelli,
Yes. Yes.
Councilman Slisinski,
Yes.
Councilman Talamini,
Yes.
Councilman Van Ack.
Yes.
So who would you want from water and sewer?
We'll have Anthony here.
Okay.
So are we setting this also for June 23rd?
Everything is going to be June 23rd, but we're inviting the department heads or
June
the
9th.
relevant personnel to come at the next council meeting, which would be the 9th. Correct?
Right.
Correct.
Okay. 21/8/34 is to amend the code policy for honoring former council members.
Don't move.
Just a little discussion on that.
Right. Well, first we have to move it in. Okay. Yes.
I just wanted to bring up, I mentioned last time, I thought we were going to, the day that we fly the flag at half mast, we were going to declare that John Smith, quote unquote, fill in the blank name, Remembrance Day, and then have a resolution that would be sent about that with the flag after it's flown.
I was confused about this ordinance, the way it wasn't with what you proposed. So could you?
If everybody's okay with that, maybe that's not okay, but that's.
No, I
wanted to
thought
bring
we
that
all
up.
agreed that would be very nice to give them that.
And Councilman Van Eck, didn't we also discuss last week that we to make sure the flag is made in the United States?
Yes.
Needs to be in this.
That it's a United States flag? Of course it is.
It's been made in the United States.
Oh.
A product of the United
A product of the
Oh, I
United
was-
States.
I thought you said make sure it's a United States flag.
Product.
A flag thing on my mind. Yes, but this doesn't talk about the certificate we give them.
Right. So I think what Council President Kamala said, we should add in this ordinance that the flag would need to be made in the USA,
Yes,
for lack of a better term.
it was agreed to, I thought.
Right. We want to add in, unless anybody disagrees, the day that it is flown at half mast would be by resolution declared fill in the blank name Remembrance Day, if that's what we
Yes.
want to call it. Someone can come up with something more creative. And that they would receive the flag and the copy of the resolution or proclamation to the family.
It should be, but it's
And
what day?
also, if we
but
can
it
add,
says-
and
but
the
it
appropriate.
says, wait a minute, it's flown for one day at the municipal building, but which day?
Well,
Well,
here-
that's
Clear.
the day that the governing body, could be a long gone. It could be for me. Who knows? God forbid.
By
But-
tongue.
We would decide the day.
then the ordinance should be revised, is that the flag will be flown at half mast on a day to be determined by the governing body pursuant to resolution, which will indicate that it'll be the deceased official's Remembrance Day. Flag will be flown at half mast. The flag to be flown will be made in the United States and presented to the family with the resolution. in a presentation case.
I thought it was going to be flown at half-mast from the day they died to the day they're buried.
No.
How
You
did,
can't. How would you know?
We did that.
how
We
would you
do it.
know?
No.
In order for this to happen, there has to be a notification. That notification then is approved by the governing body as a whole. They adopt a resolution. Let's say the person passed away March 1st, they can adopt a resolution March 15th, designating March 30th as the Remembrance Day where the flag is flown.
Right.
Okay. All right. So now what do we do with this ordinance?
The ordinance can be introduced as amended, as I just discussed. I will have the revised language to Lisa for publication.
Thank you.
So,
Brian.
Councilman, you'll approve that?
Yeah, thank you, Brian.
Good. Second.
Second.
Okay. Roll call.
Councilman Bialy,
Yes.
Councilman Kumala,
Yes.
Councilman Pignatelli,
Yes.
Councilman Slasinski,
Yes.
Councilman Talamini,
Yes.
Councilman Van Ack.
Yes.
Okay. Ordinance 835 is affordable housing ordinance.
Well, Mayor, maybe I can help everyone out here. Unless there's an objection, we can probably go through all of them and introduce them at once. And I provided a memorandum, but I could explain each one. And then we could have a vote unless there's an objection from the council.
And that includes all of them, all the way up to
That
840.
would be 5 to 843.
Okay. Deuce.
So would you like me to proceed that way, or does anyone have an objection?
No, proceed that way. That sounds like a good idea.
No objection.
So is there a motion and then we'll second and then,
No,
Brian?
don't introduce anything yet. Let me explain each one.
okay.
All right. So what we have done, council has a memo from me regarding same. If you recall, we've gone through our fairness hearing, did our settlement agreements. Planning board adopted a housing element fair share plan. Governing body endorsed that. These ordinances are the nuts and bolts of the affordable housing that implement the settlement agreement and housing element fair share plan. So we have a series of ordinances. There are 9 ordinances. Those 9 ordinances are identified as follows. The first one, 835, Affordable Housing Ordinance.
Mute.
Your zoning ordinance for
You're going in and out, Brian.
Okay. Is that
I love
better?
Okay, now we can hear you.
All right. That provides for a 20% set aside if there is a development of 5 or more units. So what that means is if someone comes in and seeks a variance from the zoning that is granted, this ordinance requires a 20% set aside or 4 units. 830 Affordable Housing Development Fee Ordinance from developments that do not provide affordable housing, both commercial and residential. We already have a development fee ordinance. This amendments bring it into current state of the law.